Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Creative Rat podcast by Senna Laksa, and that's me. Today we are going to talk about breaking the rules, because guess what? It's a celebration episode, because it's the 50th episode. So, it's been, 50 episodes after this one, and yeah, for those of you who have been around for a bit longer, you know it all started out as Mr. Podcast. For creatives, we are talking about creativity, including like other creative, like creative ways to, express yourself. Like for me, makeup art is one of those too. But nowadays, as you know, the podcast focuses on, book writing and marketing and all that, mostly writing. So yeah, let's get on to the topic. But first, I want to tell you once again, all my information is in the episode description, so check that out. My mailing list sign up, my social media, links, my email, so you can message me for questions, comments, anything, feedback, yeah, all my information is there. And if you can't find something, ask me. Anyway, let's get on to the topic. So, breaking the rules, breaking the writing rules, and okay, now you might be thinking, wait, what? I am here for writing tips, to hear kind of like, well, writing rules in a way, right? But you should still break them sometimes. Even the rules are all like tips that I've given you. You shouldn't always, perhaps you shouldn't always listen to every writing coach giving you advice, or any writer giving you advice, and that includes me. So, the first rule, or rather, unrule, I don't know what to call it, but the first point is that, never listen. Actually, no. Sometimes listen to what others have to say, like what writing tips they might have for you, but don't always, use those tips, or don't always follow those rules that others, give you, basically. Because guess what? Not everything works for everyone, and I think this isn't talked about enough. For example, there's pantsers and then there's plotters, and their writing, like their way of writing, is like the whole, process. It's very different, and I don't think we talk about that enough. The differences between all writers, and I don't mean just like planets and pantsers and so on. I mean all writers. Everyone is an individual, like humans in general. So yes, we are all individuals. We shouldn't be writing the same way, because that won't work for everyone. I know some people who can't, plan at all. They just, if they make an outline, if they meant to do that, they won't be able to follow it. And perhaps they are meant to be pantsers, because being a planner doesn't work for them. And then again, some people can't write a novel, at least can't finish a novel without an outline. And some are in the middle. They're kind of like pantsers. So, and that's just an example. There's, like many aspects as to how, writers are different, how they'll, how their whole writing process is different. We are all individuals, and that's why we should all break the rules and not follow all of them, because, not everything works for everyone. So if someone gives you a writing tip, even if it's from this podcast, from me, don't always listen to it. But then again, I think you should sometimes, if it sounds like something that might work for you, or if it sounds like something you want to try, then try it. Definitely try it. I mean, you should absolutely listen to writing tips and writing coaches and all of that, because they usually, give you advice that works for someone. And usually someone means multiple people, multiple writers, multiple authors. Rarely anyone gives advice that hasn't worked for everyone. Anyone, sorry. So, usually there's a point behind the advice. It works for someone, and there's a good chance it might work for you too. So, try different things, especially as a new writer or a new author, with marketing and everything. Try new things, listen to other people, but don't like don't think you have to do things a certain way. For example, when I first heard about, outliners and discovery writers, so planners and pantsers, I thought everyone had to be a planner, that being a pantser was a bad thing. And yes, nowadays I usually have a very rough outline. It's not even an outline because I can't follow an outline, but usually I have the beginning, middle, and ending, and you've heard this multiple times if you've listened to my past episodes. So yeah, beginning, middle, and ending, that's my thing. But even then, I might not be able to follow that outline, and still the story may end up, even better because of that. So yeah, I'm more of a pantser than a planner, definitely. But I know people who can't, discover write at all. And then again, I could never outline my full novel. I tried that once. Maybe I will try it again sometime in the future, but it just didn't work for me. It didn't do the thing for me. So yeah, it slowed down my process. It made the writing, boring. It just didn't work for me. I feel like I wasted my time doing it because nope. And I kept, I think the point of having an outline is, having, like following it. And I can't do that because I keep getting more ideas and more things I need to add, and then, all that. I'm that kind of writer. So yeah, I discover a write. Definitely. Perhaps I know what is going to happen in the end, but I have sometimes no idea what's going to happen in between. And that's what works best for me, and that's how I write, like, the most efficiently, and that's how I get most writing done, like most words down on that blank page, so it's not blank anymore. So yeah, that's me, but it might not be you. And even if you are a planner, some of my tips will work for you. But then on the other hand, if I'm giving you tips on how to, like, write fast, for example, not all of those tips may work for you, but some of them still might, but if it's an, a tip for pantsers, it's obviously not going to work for planners. And this is just simplifying all of it. Outliners and discovery writers are just an example. It could be, about anything else. There's more to writing than just an outline or discovery writing. So yeah. What I'm saying basically is every writer is different and not everything works for everyone, and definitely keep that in mind when you are trying new things. But definitely try new things and listen to writing coaches when they have something to tell you, to an advice to give you. They might be able to help you, but then again, try it, and if it doesn't work for you, don't feel bad about it or anything, because it just doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for everyone then. It's that simple. My second, my second, point in, breaking the writing rules is, everyone, I mean, the next rule to break, basically. This is a rule to break. It's work on just one project. A lot of writers tell you to work on just one project, and authors and, writers. Authors are writers too. So they tell you to work on one project. What if you work the best when you have two projects? Or, I know some people like to write, fiction and non-fiction at the same time. So, they have one fiction book in the making and one non-fiction book in the making. And that works for some. But then again, I know people who work on multiple fiction books at the same time, and they can do it. Maybe that's even better for them. Maybe you stay best motivated when you don't have to work on just one project, just one book or a story, or it can be a short story or anything. Some people work better when they, don't have to stick to that one project. Perhaps you are, well, for example, I usually have a side project. Obviously, my main project has, the main book I'm writing, the one I'm going to publish first usually. Um, Obviously I'm going to focus on that one more, but then when I need a break from it, like after editing or something, after or before editing, for example, after the first draft, or between editing phases or something, when I need a break, I still have something to work on, so I don't have to like do nothing when I still have that inspiration and motivation to write something. So I can still work on the side project, and that works perfect for me. And I know authors who work on like maybe 3 or 4 novels, full-length novels at the same time, or perhaps they have a poetry book in the making, and one of them is a poetry book or something. So some you this is one of those things, not everything works for everyone. Maybe you can't work on more than one book, but then again, maybe you can work on 5 books at a time or 2 books at a time, and you should definitely see what works the best for you. Just during the the main point here is stay focused on what you're doing, and make sure you finish that novel or story or whatever you are working on. Make sure you finish. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter how many stories you are going to finish, like, or like work on at the same time and then finish, but the point is to finish them. So if someone tells you to focus on just one story at a time, maybe it doesn't work for you. See if working on multiple projects works better for you, and then work on multiple projects. Like a main project and side project, for example. So try the new things. Try new things, and see what works for you. It's all about trial and error, and I think that sounds so cliche, but it's also so true. If you don't try, you will never know what works for you. But then again, you don't have to try everything. But if what you are doing isn't perhaps as effective as it could be, try new things. And perhaps perhaps your writing is kind of seasonal, in a way where sometimes something works and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes other things work and sometimes they don't. So you know yourself, and writing is about learning, even about yourself. So learn to know yourself as a writer. It's it's a journey, and it's going to take a while. But what I'm trying to say here is, don't listen to all advice, or at least actually listen to all advice, but don't actually use all of it. Only use the parts that work for you. So don't stress if you're not a planner, or don't stress over it if you want to work on 2 books at a time. Maybe it works better for you. Do what works for you, what's best for you, because why not? Because that's the most effective way to write. That's how you get books finished, and so yeah, definitely do what works for you. No matter what anyone else says, do what works for you. The third point, and this is another rule to break, is that a lot of writing coaches or just writers giving advice say that you shouldn't, and they shouldn't, writers shouldn't daydream. They should be writing. And to a point, I agree. You don't have to agree. You shouldn't daydream your writing journey away, basically. But then again, especially as a pantser, I don't know if this works for planners, but this works for me, and I'm a pantser. And I don't even know if this is about pantsing, but I think it is. So what I'm saying here is, daydream when it's good for your story. So what I mean by that, when you need ideas, or when you need to keep yourself inspired and you are struggling with that, daydreaming can help a lot. And no, I wouldn't still recommend using hours and hours, like writing time, to daydream. But for example, I was driving today for an hour alone in the car, I was playing my writing playlist for my side project, and I kept getting all these ideas, and I know they will add so much to the story. So, that's daydreaming not going to waste. That's daydreaming, making my story better. And I honestly swear it's going to make my story better. There's going to be more depth in in the characters, in some of them, thanks to these ideas I got, thanks to daydreaming about them. So, you know, go ahead and daydream. Whatever, works for you, um, wherever you are in the writing journey. Especially when you are like starting a new project or perhaps rewriting something, you should definitely spend some time daydreaming. Or perhaps when you're outlining. I think daydreaming would be perfect for when you're outlining. You get more ideas to add onto that outline. But I'm not an outliner, so, you know. But that's just an idea, something you could try. And that's actually all that writing tips are. They're ideas you could try, but don't have to try. Don't even, don't even have to try. But still, I would say you should try most of them. But then again, there are plenty of writing advice that I will never follow. For example, some people say it's better to start your story from the middle. I'm never going to even try that. Because no, just no. It would mess with. No, just no, sorry. I'm never going to do that. I'm going to write from beginning to ending. And no one can tell me to do otherwise, because that's what I'm going to do. And that's, that's it. I'm not going to follow that advice ever, even though I've seen it on TikTok, I've seen it everywhere. I'm going to start my book from the beginning. The writing process is going to start by writing the beginning. The new project is going to start there. Not from the middle. I can't even comprehend how some people do that. So yeah, if you can do that, good for you. I will never try that. Or maybe I will at some point. But no, I don't think so. So you get the point here, I think. The fourth point, and another rule to break, is, write more and learn. Keep writing and learning, learn by writing, basically. And I think we can safely say that, yes, obviously, writing is going to help you become a better writer, but I don't think that's enough. And once again, it's my opinion, but this is something I, would say is true for pretty much every writer. You can't become a perfect writer by just writing. You need to educate yourself. For example, show don't tell. For example, if you don't, if you don't know what you're doing, you haven't educated yourself in writing craft and everything, then you might have a problem with your for example, showing not telling. Or perhaps your characters fall flat because you haven't really thought about that aspect, because you haven't educated yourself, or you haven't even tried to learn from others. And I'm not saying you have to follow every author tuber, or every writing coach or anything, or that I don't think you necessarily need writing courses or anything, but even reading other writers works, like books, any book, read any book, and that will help you already a ton. That's learning from others in a way, even though it's not like this situation where I'm giving you tips or advice. This is a bit different than learning from other people's writing, because here I'm telling you what to do or what to try actually. But when you're reading a book, you might pick up things that you are like, wow, that works. I want to try to do that. Or stuff like that. For example, some people know how to show so perfectly that you're like, wow, I could never do that. Perhaps you still could. And usually, pick up those things as a writer when you see them in other books. But you should also I mean, you could also learn from situations like this, where you are listening to someone who is teaching you, like I am right now. Although, I don't know if you're learning anything new. I hope you are. Check out my other episodes if this one isn't new to you. Perhaps there's something that will help you out. Let's hope so anyway. And also, by the way, I have my mailing list, and I will split it to readers and writers. You can belong to, both sides. But yeah, you get, emails based on your preference. So if you like choose that you're just a writer, then you just get writing related emails. So, no spamming or anything. So yeah, check out the link in the episode description. So, learning from others and not just writing, to get better, write more and get better as a writer, because that's not enough. It's not enough that you just write and write and write. Because also, even if you learn from writing, learn to write by writing, even then you have to, consciously be learning something and, educating yourself in a way. So it's not actually just like, yeah, I'm gonna write whatever. That's not how you learn from writing. So, you have to know what you're doing a little bit so you can learn, better. Does that make sense? I think so. Hope it does. And once again, I keep saying that, sorry. Anyway, if you have any questions, feedback, or anything, remember that you can always comment or DM me or email me or message me or, anything. So yeah, don't hesitate to give me any feedback either. And finally, the 5th point. And this is actually the final one. And this is another rule to break. And it's write what you know. I see that way too often. I don't think it works like that. Write what you know. That would mean there would be no fantasy. I don't know any dragons, yet I write about dragons. What? You get what I'm saying? Instead, I think you should think more broadly. I mean, obviously you can write about what you know, but I don't think that should be necessarily, the main point. Write what you want. I think you should definitely write what you want. First and foremost, start with that. Let's start with that. I think so anyway. But like I said, writing tips aren't. I mean, not everyone agrees on every tip and not everything works for everyone. But I think most of us can agree that what you should definitely write what you want to write. Not necessarily what you know. I mean, I don't think many fantasy authors have met elves or fays or, wizards, vampires, all that. I don't think so. I've never met a vampire. So, yeah. Or wizard, and I write about wizards, so, And I write about places that I've never been to, even in real world. It's fiction. Like, break the rules. Obviously non-fiction is different, but with fiction, break the rules. Like, come on. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like our world, especially if it's like fantasy, and even if it's, it's like mostly realistic or something. Even then, you can break the rules. I feel like sci-fi breaks the rules a lot, and it's usually set in our world somehow, or like our universe or something. So break the rules to a certain point. Because then some people readers get annoyed if you break, scientific rules too much and so on. But yeah, break the rules. But okay, so first and foremost, we are writing what we want to write. But we should also write about what frightens us. You should write about what frightens you, what you are scared of. Because it makes the writing more raw and more deep, and there's more like more beneath the surface, beneath the writing, kind of. Hope you get what I mean by that. But that makes your story more deep, more vivid, and you know, usually we are being honest if we say something we are afraid to say, and usually we are at our like realist when we talk about things we fear, talk about things we are scared of, that frighten us. And this is actually what frightens you. This is actually what inspired, this thought inspired me to talk about this whole, breaking the rules thing. So this whole episode has been inspired by that. And yeah, I definitely think we should all write about things that frighten us. And I'm not saying you have to write about your deepest trauma or something. You could. It can be actually very therapeutical. Sorry, therapeutical. It can help you to write about your trauma. It doesn't work for everyone, once again, but I know it can work for someone. But still, say things you are afraid to say. Say those things in your writing, and it will become so much more real and deep, like instantly. That's at least what I think. And obviously, if you are just writing for fun, for people's entertainment, like, I don't know, maybe a chick lit. I still think chick lit could, like, chick literature could have, there could be a deeper saying behind it, but it's just an example. Even fantasy could be just, written for fun, for like entertainment, or horror. Maybe there isn't any deeper saying. Perhaps the book is meant to just frighten the reader. There might not be some deep saying from the writer or anything. But perhaps still in horror there's something that frightens them beneath the surface. Yeah, anyway, now I'm just rambling and we don't want to listen to that. But the point is, break the rules. The whole point of this episode, not just, writing about what you want and writing about what frightens you. The whole episode is about breaking the rules and doing what works for you, and, not stressing about, all these writing tips coming your way, because, not everything works for you, and you should definitely just accept that and move on. If something doesn't work for you, move on. Ignore that tip whenever you see it, and just, think like, that doesn't work for me, maybe it will work for some. Like, for example, like I mentioned, I could never start writing a book from the middle. I don't even know, where do you go from there? Do you go... Okay, yeah, I haven't done my research on that because I just already know I will never do that, and I could never jump from scene to scene. I can't, if I'm stuck in a scene, I have to write that scene before moving on to the next one. And some people say, leave it empty and write it later. I can't do that. So, as we can see, not all writing tips are useful for everyone, but the point of writing tips and writing advice is to try and help someone. So, if a writing coach gives you advice that doesn't work for you, it doesn't make them automatically bad. And I'm not saying this to defend myself or anything, it's just truth, because I've seen multiple tips on TikTok, for example, and I've tried them, like outlining, for example. I tried outlining, it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't mean it doesn't work for anyone. And I think those writing coaches and so on that, talk about outlining, they are still great, but they're not for me. So yeah, I think I've rambled on, and this is going to be the longest episode so far, I think. But I hope this was, enlightening. Perhaps this raised some thoughts or perhaps questions. Contact me. All my information is in the episode description, like I've said like 3 times now, maybe. And thank you so much for listening to this episode or watching this episode if you are on YouTube. Yeah, it's been a delight. 50 episodes. Wow, that's wow. Yeah, I honestly thought I'd like give it a like when I started podcasting, I thought I'd give it a try and then I would see, yeah, we'll see where this goes. I never thought I would be, recording these episodes on video and everything. I definitely didn't think I would do that, but here we are. And I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It would be lovely to hear some feedback from you. The past feedback has been delightful, and I honestly appreciate hearing from you. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to send me feedback or anything. I don't bite or anything. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. It's been a delight. I hope this episode was useful for you, and yeah, happy writing and goodbye, creatives.